The most I've ever hit was 1 million on a slot. It was like $1,000 spin. Just big bass Christmas bonanza, and it paid out 1 million. So that stream I bought in, I think 400,000, and I went up to 2 million, cashed out at 1.5 million. But the most I've ever seen someone gamble, I think probably, do you guys know who Exposed is?
No.
He pretty consistently goes to Red Rock and does like 100,000 plus dollar hands, but the limits are pretty stiff. Like you don't really get to bet more than 300,000 a hand at any casino, as far as I've been let into. I'm sure somewhere people do that, but like probably like $300,000 hands is the most that people like, and it's like the Dana White's Exposed. Like nobody does.
What does it feel like to win $1 million?
Oh well, this is at the time I was doing so much that I don't actually remember it. I just had to watch a video back and it's like, holy shit. It was that's why it's in it. That video went so viral because it's such a captivating story. I was doing so many drugs at that period of my life that I was in Mexico doing a ton of Xanax, and the night before I had lost maybe like 900,000. I don't remember it. And then when you're like taking on a bender, you wake up the next day and you just roll over, you take a pill. Like you roll over, grab some drugs, put them in your body so that you like feel better and you continue the bender. Effectively, I went into the stream, $1 million. The next day I invested it into Pepe. Pepe got listed on Robinhood, doubled. And then about 4 days later, I checked my accounts and $2 million was just like there. And I had to go look back at all the footage. It's like, okay, so this is what I pieced it together. This is what happened. And that's why it takes so long for me to edit my videos. Everyone's like, why don't you post more? Because I don't know what the happened. So I have to meticulously go through every hour of that 10-hour stream and be like, where did this million come from? And then you look at, okay, so now it's all of a sudden 2 million. What the happened there? You look at your crypto transactions. Okay, so we put all into Pepe, and then you can kind of put the pieces of the story together. But it is kind of sad that like a lot of the coolest things, like some people ask me like, what's a crazy story? And it's like, I do not remember a lot of the things that have happened to me in the last year, which is why I stopped doing Xanax, because it's just, you don't remember like so much cool shit when you're blacked out on Xanax.
What's the craziest that you've taken?
Well, it depends on like what you define as crazy. I've done probably every, I did meth on accident one time, and then I had to go to the hospital because I overdosed. So that was like the craziest experience. But I mean, I've never injected anything other than steroids. I think every single drug that's popular.
What's the best?
Xanax, cocaine's good. What else is good? Those are the best. Xanax, Adderall, ketamine, Percocets. Oh my God, Percocets are great. But understand that like that you feel the best on, the fallout from taking Percocets for a few days, like you are in a very bad spot mentally and physically. Like the withdrawals can. So the better it feels, the worse. It's not like I'm telling you guys, oh, these are they're the best, as in they feel the nicest, but the come down is equivalently as bad.
Do you worry about doing damage, like something permanent? Like changes?
I would be worried, but that's just like all of my friends and everybody. It's like a consistent experience that everyone does these drugs that I know. And it's like, okay, so if all 500 of you people are doing the exact same thing as me, and like, as far as I'm concerned, only 4 of you are fucked up. It's like, I guess we're rolling those dice.
So that's dice rolling, just like any other
the proof
risk.
of concept is there. Like I started doing, I'd say hard drugs maybe when I was like 14 years old. So like, a lot. That's what 8 years, and I'm sure I do. Part of me thinks I would be a lot smarter if I wasn't doing that, but I'm not. I like being ignorant. Ignorance is bliss. Like being delusionally confident, that's great. I think maybe the drugs banged my brain up just perfectly enough so that I'm not too smart for my own good. I think a lot of people are too smart for their own good, and then it's like, oh, I got this business idea. But then you're like really smart and you're thinking about all the numbers and everything's how that's never going to work. And then you never do it. Like if you just don't think about stuff too, like I don't think about many things at all, ever. Like every day I probably have like 6 like useful thoughts. And then the rest of it's just kind of like.
Give me an example of a useful thought you had today.
Oh, no, today was bad because I went to bed at noon. And that's why I had to push this podcast back. Usually before a podcast, I scheme like a few useful thoughts.
Okay.
Today, there has been 0 useful thoughts. I can't remember the last useful thought that I had. Actually, let me think about this. This is ridiculous that this is useful thought. I thought like, it feels like the last good thing that I thought was, I'm going to sell this painting which was about 4 weeks ago. So that can't be the case. Maybe I thought I thought I should read more books about 4 days ago.
Do you think you're going to do that?
Yeah, I like audiobooks.
Who bought the painting?
Just some random fan. We talked on the phone for a little bit, and his story is that he was in not the best place mentally, and then he started watching my content and listening to some of the speeches that I would give, and he started taking testosterone, and his hormones are now level, and his income has obviously exploded. So it's so meaningful to him. It's not like he was more really excited to support my journey because what I've given to him. He didn't care for the art. He just was like, Togi changed my life, and now I want to just be a part of his journey.
How do you get the money? It's a lot of 150 grand is a lot to spend on.
How did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't ask. I didn't.
You weren't curious?
Well, I guess when 150K doesn't sound like that much to me, I guess. Like, what, anyone can have 150 that you could.
Yeah, but to spend on a discretionary painting.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, I've spent like, okay, an example is I spent, Steve will do it, one of my good friends. He was losing a ton of money gambling and he was in a bad mood. At the time, I had my net worth was around $500,000. Like, cash-wise, I probably had $100,000, but I sold a bunch of my jewelry and I used my last $100,000 for my name to buy my Richard Mille because he's just such a good friend. He was in a horrible mood. It's like, this will cheer him up. Nobody gives Steve anything. So the point being is that it's not abnormal in my head that somebody would spend an excessive amount of money to give back to somebody that means a lot to them.
We're in such a different, like 150 grand.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I just have to accept that different people have different priorities, which is, it's cool. It's cool to hear about. I'm curious because you took an IQ test and you said that you are like clinically dumb.
No, dude, that's okay. That IQ test was right after I got back from Cabo. So I was coming off of a ton of drugs. I think that actually might have been right after I won it's very hazy, but the point being is I remember sitting down at the computer and looking at the wall. And you know when you look at the wall and like everything's just like fuzz. You have no thought. You're just like,
brain fog, yeah.
It was the worst brain fog I've experienced in a long time. So I knew it was not going to be the best. I think I could do way better if I retook that IQ test.
I mean, I agree. I think for the bit, it's funny. But I mean, you're obviously smarter than the average person. Like you can't, I feel like, do what you've done. And also it's interesting because you have these random, like really well thought out epiphanies. And I don't know if you're coming up with them off the cuff or if it's something that you've thought about before.
I agree with that.
Like you're like, yeah, people say the grass is always greener on the other side, but what if it's artificial grass? It's like, gee, like how did you come up with that so quickly? Like that would be the last maybe good thought or useful.
Good thought. That is, I don't know why I said
you have
that.
These like small little epiphanies that you come up with that are like really,
you said something great also about like becoming successful, limiting beliefs, and having the conviction that you could do something. Like
most people think too much for their own good.
Yeah, there are these nuggets of just
but is that really
information.
Like conceptually that's not that difficult? Like understanding like
no,
a logarithm,
conceptually that like
math.
People I don't think would come up with something like that. Like that takes like a different level of like metacognition. You're like thinking about thinking.
I spend a lot of time like consciously thinking. Like I'll try and I'm worse about it now, but I used to spend like 15 minutes a day and I would stare at a wall and I'd just think. And you don't have to force thoughts. Like everybody has incredible thoughts in their brain, but they're too distracted because they're scrolling. They're too afraid to let their thoughts happen. And then a lot of people try to think for a couple minutes and like, it's not working. I'm going to give up on it. But if you sit there and just stare at your watch for 5 minutes, you all of a sudden you're, I never realized that about the watch. It just comes to you. It's very natural for humans to think, but in today's society, all the that like makes you obsessed with dopamine or whatever makes it hard to think. But if you spend even 5, 10, 15 minutes a day thinking, I guess have elevated above what a lot of people. And I don't think my brain processes nearly as fast as like, what's that? The definition of a genius is someone that can process information a lot faster than whatever the average person. But it only takes 15 minutes of like my slow CPU churning to come up with whatever these ideas that I speak.